So I've been waiting for years to start this blog, and I realize I haven't. So instead of cutting myself up and saying, oh, I should be doing something, I'm going to look at a different way that I can do this. And so I realized I can speak. I am not very good in terms of video, but I'm good at speaking. So that is why this blog is going to be me speaking about all the things that I feel like I want to speak about. So this is my first episode of the Aparajita-Yoga podcast, I would say. Would that be a podcast? Maybe, yes. So episode 1. And it starts with, of course, something about Iyengar Yoga. Ta-da! I had this idea this morning about Iyengar Yoga. And a friend actually said that, oh, Iyengar Yoga is the one which really pays attention to details and specifics. And I realized more and more that people have these strange ideas of what Iyengar Yoga is. They either think it's just about props, or they think it's very strict, or it's all about alignment, which means straight lines. That means your head has to be here, your hip has to be here, and your foot has to be here. And in a way, I think by categorizing, and we are guilty of that all the time, we lose the essence of what Mr. Iyengar was trying to convey through a sort of looking at postures through this framework. So this is a completely random rant in a sense that I'm relying completely on my experience of Iyengar Yoga, and it's from that space that I speak. I have no authority, and I haven't really checked up on what it meant, but I can speak from a personal viewpoint. And so the first thing I feel when I walk into an Iyengar Yoga class is the sense of attention. You are invited to bring attention to what you're doing. It's like you start with a very simple thing, like attention to how your body is placed. Have you even become aware of it? And this drawing of attention to parts of the body, where you imagined that you were doing what you were doing, and then suddenly there was this instructor who was inviting that you look at your attention, look at how you're actually placing that arm, how is the shoulder working. And in this way, it becomes an inquiry process every time you enter an Iyengar Yoga class. It's not static, as in there is not just this is template, okay, Trikonasana looks like this, and we have to, when you come into a class, you place your right foot, left foot, and then you go ahead and do the asana, and there's a little checkbox where say, hey, everything was aligned perfectly and you did a great yoga pose, because there's never such thing as a great yoga pose. Every class is like an inquiry. It's a process of exploration, it's a process of digging in deep, and through that inquiry coming into some sort of insight. And that insight can be at a very simple gross level of, oh, I didn't realize I kind of tend to raise my shoulders and round my back when I hold say a back bend. And there could be another way of actually taking my shoulders back, drawing my shoulder blades down and lifting the chest. It's as simple as that. So this ability to draw attention through this device of taking your attention to different parts and paying. That's the first stage. Once you've gone past that, what I found interesting, and as I studied more and more with teachers, this drawing of attention was endless. In a sense, I have been practicing Iyengar Yoga from, I think I started around 2007. Like very regularly. I had done a couple of Iyengar Yoga classes before, but somehow the conditions weren't so that I could practice regularly. But so far, I can say that in every class, I have learned something new. So this ability to look at life fresh, to look at the same plethora of poses and do this again and again, and discover something new. And as a student, this invites you to constantly stay open to life in a way. So it's like drawing a parallel to life. Like you haven't figured it out. You haven't got super control because you think you know how to place your foot somewhere, because maybe you've missed your shoulder. And in a way, this panoramic awareness, which we miss in life, this awareness that when we get so focused on doing one thing and we just imagine that that one thing is the only important thing to focus on, and then we lose this more broader perspective. And so in doing the asanas are merely a gateway to train the mind. That's how I look at it. The asanas are not the ultimate goal. However, in holding the body in certain ways and waking up certain areas of your body, definitely there are biochemical changes that occur in the physical systems. So as a result, of course, you have a renewed energy, renewed health, and aches and pains disappear. Those are just like symptoms, but they are not really the goal. The ultimate goal, if I feel this is like the biggest experiment that you can do through your own body. It's like a prayer in a way, and it's an art. And I think Mr. Iyengar does say that somewhere, where he dedicates each asana to be almost like a prayer, and yet it's an art form. And I think in mentioning that art form, there is this thing of play, there is this sense of innovation, there is this endless desire to learn and look at things differently and experience life fresh in every pose. So for today, if my Ustrasana meant really pressing those shins down, and I really pressed those shins down for the next class because I remembered it, I might have just missed my little toe. And even if I got all the body parts correct, there's always this amazing slight shift in the way the experience of the pose happens. And that's the other part that I'd like to bring focus on. Yes, in doing the pose, that's the first step. But once you've got the pose, there is something else that kicks in. And I remember attending Rajvi Mehta's workshop years ago, and she mentioned this, where she says, she mentions the Yoga Sutra, which I don't remember right now, but it's about effort leading to effortlessness. And this is that kind of also related to the whole idea of Ishwar Pranidhana, right? So if you think of the Yoga Sutras, there is the first stages are all about effort, making effort, doing things. So in a sense, when I enter the class and I do my Trikonasana in a particular way, and that's where I'm putting my attention, I'm bringing my awareness just to that moment and doing the poses as they should be done. And yet, in doing that, there is that other element that sort of unfurls. There is the sensation in the pose. The breath flows differently suddenly because I've positioned my head and my pelvis in a different orientation. And then because my breath changes, my attention quality changes. And then once I come out of the pose, and after having done a 90-minute session, I walk out of the class differently. So the poses were beautiful devices to almost get me into these amazing energetic binds where I'm expressing and I'm feeling, and then I'm creating these mental shifts and patterns. I don't know technically what they would be, but experientially I can definitely say that they have brought in gifts which I can't even explain. It's beautiful. So for me, the use of props is a superficial aspect. What I think Iyengar was trying to do, and he was using these different devices. He was using the device of attention. He was using the device of props. He was using the device of relooking, the sequencing, how the poses fall one after another. But all in the pursuit of this one thing, of this mind and body system that we are, to come to this space where we are able to delve in. And when we delve into that inner nectar, that inner sweetness where the self resides, may we have a little bit of a glimpse of that self, little moments of awakening perhaps. And sometimes those moments of awakening can be completely subconscious. Yet, as we practice, and that's why the regularity of practice is so vital. It doesn't matter whether you do a pose well, or someone posts up a picture on Instagram, or you're more flexible and your pose looks better than the other person's. I mean, those are such obstructions of life. Yoga Sutra talks about what do you call it, the obstacles. I would say these are the obstacles. These are the obstacles. These are the barriers which prevent us from actually seeing clearly what this is all about. So I think Iyengar was brilliant, in my opinion, simply because I've experienced it, in finding these energetic pathways through just simply holding shapes in our body. And that's why people change when they do yoga, because they're working with their own mental, spiritual, etheric bodies. And I also know that there are many techniques, just like there are many flowers. I mean, that is the beauty of life. The other day I did Kundalini Yoga, and I have to say I loved Kundalini Yoga because it was so beautiful, just being able to sing, to chant, to do movements in tune with mudra. So, and then one of the classes, while I was chanting, I had this insight, and it said, how many ways to worship you, God? And I know that word is kind of tricky for a lot of people, but it resonates with me. God, something awesome, something bigger than us. We don't understand the whole game. We're here in relation to something far, far, far bigger than we can ever understand. So who am I to, so that's it. There's so many ways to worship God, in a sense that, here was a doorway of worshiping God through the structure, to the attention of Iyengar Yoga. Here was a doorway to worship God or connect to the self through the beauty of Kundalini Yoga, or another way through Ashtanga Vinyasa Yoga, or just through running or music or art. I mean, that's the beauty of life. I choose to teach and primarily practice through the Iyengar method, because that came into my life, and that agrees with my personality, that has given me an opportunity to go deeper. And so these are the things that I think Iyengar Yoga are about. And I think those of you some people think it's so intellectual and it's not spiritual and it's all about, the body being correct and right. I'm sorry, as a practitioner for almost 10 years now, I disagree completely. I think it's deeply spiritual. I think it is making the experience of this abstract concept of self more experiential, and without giving it any kind of description, it makes it even more real. And that's what I love about Iyengar Yoga.